do another video on this that goes a little more into depth. I've talked before about attachment, how we inevitably attach to things, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but of course attachment can cause pain, as we know. But there's a certain kind of attachment that I think is kind of necessary, not for everyone, I guess, and maybe just at certain stages in life, at least to have the experience. But I think everyone deserves to be wanted and needed, and have at least one partnership or something where it's like there is a healthy codependency. It's like not something that's overly needy, but we all have certain levels of codependency, like with a job, like we require the whole team. Of course, in a family dynamic, even if like one of the parents is missing, like in the equation, in the developing of like the children, if there's just like it's not as healthy to like just have one parent like raising a child. It's like it's important to be needed and wanted, and even missed at times. And when you don't have that in your life, like it's hard to have a lot of self-worth because you don't feel the felt presence of feeling needed and wanted. And I think we should all have some of that, a balance of that. So we've all, or most of us, have been in kind of a needy situation where we've either been like overly needy or have experienced someone else being in a relationship with them that they are like overly needy with us, and that's that pull. It's kind of like but it's not like, I don't think it's that cringy of a thing. It's just like that's innate to being a human. It's intrinsic. It's like we are needy creatures. We need each other and we need help. We're herd animals, like goats, or at least most of us. Like some people would argue, like I am totally content being alone and single, and that's great. That's great that you're such a unicorn in that way. But a lot of us, like, we do have need for each other. If you have a goat, I've had goats before. You don't want to have just one goat. Like you need a few goats. Like they need each other, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think there's the stigma to neediness. It's like, or like, it's like feeling lonely. It's like, no, that's just part of being human in a world where people disassociate and like they aren't as connected as they could be to each other. And I think that's part of where that comes from. And part of where it comes from is probably the archons like eliciting that like neediness and that like it's not attractive or whatever, I think that's just important to recognize, and it shouldn't be like a shameful thing in any way. It just needs to be balanced. But it's like people need to feel needed and appreciated. Like that's part of where value is derived from. And you have to see it in yourself, and other people should see it in you as well. And if they're not, it's not necessarily on you. Like, if people are naive and blind to obvious things, like, it's tough in that way.